Have you ever felt that after turning 50, life seems to shrink instead of expand? That society tells us we are reaching the end, when in truth something much deeper is awakening. At 58, I discovered that aging is not about losing, but about finding the true essence of life, and Ram Dass's teachings showed me a path I had never imagined. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what I'll share may transform the way you see yourself, your future, and the gifts hidden in every wrinkle of time. And before we begin, I'd love to hear from you. How do you personally feel about aging? Do you see it as a decline or as an opening for something new? Share in the comments. Your perspective could inspire others in our community. And don't forget to like this video if you believe that wisdom grows stronger with age. Aging has long been framed in our culture as a kind of ending. In the West, especially, society whispers in subtle and persistent ways that getting older means losing value, losing vitality, relevance, even identity. Advertisements, movies, and media often celebrate youth as the pinnacle of life, leaving those who cross 50 or 60 feeling as if they are fading into the background, as if life's most meaningful chapters are behind them. This, however, is an illusion. And it is precisely this illusion we are here to explore and to dissolve. Ram Dass once said, "We are not our body, not our thoughts, we are awareness." Let that sink in for a moment. The society we live in teaches us to cling to the physical, to the external markers of success, beauty, and capability. We measure worth by appearances, by accomplishments, by speed and productivity. But awareness, the essence of who we truly are, is timeless. It does not age. It does not falter. It does not diminish. And here, in the later decades of life, awareness finally has a chance to step forward and lead. When we cross the threshold of 50, 60, or 70, a remarkable opportunity unfolds. The layers of expectation, the pressures to conform, the endless chase to prove ourselves, these begin to fall away. Suddenly, there is space, space to breathe, space to reflect. Space to live in alignment with the essence of who we are, rather than the persona the world has constructed for us. The beauty of this transition is that it is not a loss. It is a shift, from identifying with the fleeting body and the restless mind to discovering the enduring spirit within. Aging becomes not a decline, but a liberation. Where once we were bound by the need to please, to perform, to measure our worth externally, we now encounter the freedom to simply be. Life moves from doing to being, from striving to experiencing, from external validation to internal knowing. And yet, the cultural narrative of aging is so pervasive that we often internalize it without question. We might feel invisible, irrelevant, or less capable. We might unconsciously adopt beliefs like, "My best years are behind me," or "It's too late to start over." But these are stories, not truths. They are cultural myths, not spiritual reality. Each decade is a portal, a chance to awaken, to shed old limitations, and to embrace the depth, richness, and wisdom that can only come from lived experience. Imagine standing on the threshold of your 50s, 60s, or 70s and seeing aging not as an ending, but as an invitation to let go of what no longer serves you, to release old patterns, regrets, and fears, to reorient your life toward what truly matters. In this space, every day becomes a practice in presence. Every moment, a chance to align with your true self. You are no longer a captive of societal expectations. You are free to explore your own consciousness, to nurture your spirit, to honor your desires without apology. Ram Dass reminds us that we are not the body, not the mind, but awareness. Awareness is spacious, luminous, and eternal. And it is within this awareness that aging transforms from something to fear into something to celebrate. As the external world fades in its demands, the inner world blooms in possibility. Where once we were constrained by comparison, we now find serenity in our own rhythm. Where once we chased fleeting pleasures, we now savor the profound, the subtle, the deeply meaningful. And so, I invite you now to pause and reflect. What old belief about aging are you ready to let go of? What story about your own limitations are you willing to release? What freedom, joy, or peace have you been denying yourself because you believed that aging meant the end? This is the time to awaken, to remember that life does not close at 50, 60, or 70. Life simply changes its rhythm. The pressures of the world may lessen, but the depth of consciousness, the richness of spirit, and the potential for awakening expand. The persona fades, but the essence shines. You are no longer defined by what society values. You are defined by who you truly are. So step into this next chapter with courage. Step into it with curiosity. Step into it with a sense of wonder that the world may not have allowed before. The journey is not over. It is only beginning. And in this beginning there is a freedom, a lightness, and a joy that only comes from knowing deeply and fully that you are awareness itself, timeless, infinite, present. The illusion of the end is exactly that, an illusion. And now, in this moment, you are free to see the truth. Aging is not a closing, it is an opening, not a loss, but a liberation. And the journey, the real journey, is just beginning. From achievement to awakening, a new measure of success. For most of our lives, success is measured in trophies, titles, and tangible accomplishments. We chase promotions, accumulate wealth, and seek recognition, believing these markers define who we are and how valuable our lives might be. Society applauds the ambitious, the busy, the high flyers. And for decades, we chase that applause, thinking it will fill the emptiness we sometimes feel inside. But after 50, something remarkable begins to unfold. Life subtly shifts. The goals that once defined us start to feel hollow, as if the trophies on our shelves and the accolades in our resumes no longer carry the weight they once did. Suddenly, we realize that these external measures of success are not who we are. They are simply the roles we played, the masks we wore, the games we agreed to play. I remember a story that could be anyone's story. Imagine a person, let's call her Eleanor, who just turned 58. For decades, she had been climbing the corporate ladder, collecting awards and achievements with the precision of a master. She had status, she had recognition, she had the kind of life most people envy. Yet one quiet morning, as she sipped her tea and watched the sunlight spill across the living room, something shifted. The trophies that had once gleamed with pride seemed dull. The applause of others echoed like distant, hollow sounds. And in that quiet moment, Eleanor realized she was not her titles, she was not her possessions, she was not even the sum of her achievements. Ram Dass once said, "The quieter you become, the more you can hear." Those words resonate profoundly with the journey, Eleanor, and so many of us begin after 50. When the relentless noise of ambition softens, a new kind of awareness emerges. We start to listen, not to the accolades or the applause, but to the subtle voice of our own essence. We start to recognize that true success is not measured by what we acquire, but by how deeply we connect with our own inner world. For Eleanor, this awakening began with simple moments. A walk through the park where she noticed the intricate patterns of leaves on the trees. A quiet conversation with an old friend where laughter came not from stories of achievement, but from simply being present together. Even mundane tasks, like washing the dishes or tending to her garden, became windows into a deeper presence. In these moments, Eleanor felt something she hadn't felt in decades: peace. A calm, profound sense that she was enough, just as she was. The transition from achievement to awakening is not always easy. Our minds are trained for recognition, for results, for outcomes. Yet, the journey inward teaches a radical truth. Fulfillment does not come from checking boxes or winning approval. It comes from connection, presence, and the gentle unfolding of awareness. It is not about doing more, it is about being more. This doesn't mean we abandon the world or our goals. It means we redefine them. The office might still matter, but it no longer dictates our sense of worth. Wealth might still exist, but it no longer validates our existence. We begin to see life not as a ladder to climb, but as a landscape to explore, with the richest treasures hidden not in our bank accounts or accolades, but within the quiet corners of our own hearts. And perhaps the most beautiful discovery of all is this: the moments we once overlooked, the morning sun, a gentle smile, a shared silence, carry a depth of richness we never noticed when we were chasing the next big thing. We start to understand that success is not a destination, it is a way of being. So, if you are watching this today, consider this. What is one success from your younger years that no longer defines you? Perhaps it is a promotion, a recognition, or a goal once so vital that now seems insignificant. Let yourself feel the relief, the liberation, the space that opens when you release the old measures and step into a more awakened life. After 50, the world invites us to a new kind of success, not one that is shouted from the rooftops, but one that hums quietly inside, steady and true. The journey from achievement to awakening is not about losing anything. It is about gaining everything that truly matters. And in this gain, we find a life richer than we ever imagined, where the quiet moments are profound and the soul finally comes home. Aging is often painted as a loss, a slow fading from youth, beauty, or relevance. Society tells us that with each passing year, our value diminishes, that the body becomes fragile, the mind slower, and our purpose less urgent. But Ram Dass offers a radically different perspective. Aging is not an end, but an invitation. It is an invitation to surrender, to let go, and to embrace a deeper, quieter wisdom that has always been within us. Imagine the human spirit as a river. The river flows through seasons, sometimes rushing, sometimes calm, but its essence remains untouched. Similarly, our bodies and roles may change. Our relationships may shift. Our careers may come to an end. But the spirit within us remains eternal, intact, and full of potential. Aging is the process of witnessing the river of life without clinging, without forcing it into shapes it no longer fits. It is the art of surrender. Resistance to the natural flow of time brings suffering. When we fight the signs of aging, the wrinkles, the grey hair, the slowing body, we create a constant inner friction. We cling to what was, and in doing so, we miss what is. Ram Dass reminds us, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. By surrendering, we stop shouting against the current, and we begin to listen, to ourselves, to life, and to the subtle, persistent voice of spirit. Practical surrender looks like this: embracing your grey hair not as a loss of youth, but as a crown of wisdom earned through decades of living, loving, and learning. It means seeing retirement not as an empty end, but as a doorway to serve in new and meaningful ways. Perhaps you become a mentor, a volunteer, or simply a witness to life, offering presence and kindness. These are acts of surrender because they require letting go of old identities, titles, roles, and expectations to discover the timeless self beneath. There is a gentle paradox here. As the ego ages, it inevitably loses its grip on control. The ego wants to define itself by achievement, status, or appearance, but the spirit, untouched by these external measures, grows freer with each year. Aging in this light is an opportunity to loosen the ego's grip and to remember who we truly are. The wrinkles and grey hair are not signs of decay, but symbols of a journey deeper into being. The losses we experience are not punishments, they are invitations to focus on the eternal rather than the temporary. Letting go is not passive. It requires courage. It asks us to confront our fears of irrelevance, of mortality, and of the unknown. And yet, in letting go, we discover that life becomes lighter. Time becomes a friend rather than a threat. The present moment opens fully, rich with color, sound, and connection. We find ourselves laughing more freely, loving more openly, and experiencing gratitude not just for what we have, but for what we are. Consider the lessons life gives us when we surrender. Perhaps it is in accepting physical limitations that we learn patience. Perhaps in releasing control over relationships, we learn unconditional love. Perhaps in acknowledging our mortality, we learn the profound beauty of impermanence. Each year, lived fully, each moment surrendered, brings us closer to the spiritual core Ram Dass spoke about. A self that is infinite, ever-present, and unbound by time. And this journey is personal. Each one of us has a story of aging, its challenges, its losses, and its unexpected joys. The questions are simple but profound. What has been the hardest part of aging for you? What fears, what resistances have emerged as the years have passed? And equally important, what wisdom has it revealed? What deeper truths have been uncovered simply by allowing life to unfold, by saying yes to change, and by surrendering to the flow? When we embrace change, we move from fear to curiosity. We begin to see each grey hair, each wrinkle, each transition as a teacher. We notice that letting go does not mean giving up. It means stepping into a larger view of ourselves, one that sees beyond the ego, beyond the body, beyond the temporary identities we have held. Surrendering is not defeat. It is a quiet, powerful act of love for oneself and for life. So, as you watch your own river of life unfold, remember this: aging is not the end. It is not a period to be feared, but a doorway to be opened. Step through it with courage, step through it with openness, and step through it with the knowledge that the spirit within you remains untouched, unbound, and infinitely capable of love, growth, and presence. The art of surrender is the art of aging well, and in this surrender we do not just endure life, we awaken to its deepest, most enduring beauty. There comes a moment in life, often after the age of 50, when the noise of the world begins to fade. Children grow up, careers settle into routines, and the frantic pace of daily obligations softens. And in this gentle quiet, a remarkable opportunity emerges. The chance to truly be present, to live fully in the now. Ram Dass, one of the great spiritual teachers of our time, calls this presence the greatest gift of all. Be here now, he reminds us, not as a suggestion but as an invitation to awaken to life as it is, not as we imagine it should be. Imagine for a moment each breath you take as a precious jewel. Feel the cool air as it enters your lungs, and the warm air as it leaves. Each inhale is a reminder of life's endless potential, each exhale a release of what no longer serves you. In these simple acts, you begin to notice that the eternal now is not somewhere far away. It is here, in this very moment. Time, as we often measure it, becomes secondary. What matters is not the clock, not the appointments, not the plans, but the awareness that you are alive and that life itself is a miracle unfolding before your eyes. As we grow older, many distractions that once consumed our energy gradually disappear. The responsibilities that once felt heavy, raising children, building careers, striving for recognition, begin to shift. And suddenly, the world offers us a precious gift: space. Space to breathe, space to reflect, space to simply be. In this space, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The morning sun streaming through the window becomes a canvas of color and warmth. The sound of birds outside your door becomes a symphony. The simple act of drinking tea, of feeling your feet on the ground, of smiling at a stranger, becomes a doorway into presence. Practices like meditation, silence, and daily gratitude are tools that help us stay anchored in this precious moment. Meditation is not about escaping life. It is about immersing yourself fully in it, sitting quietly, focusing on the breath, noticing the mind's chatter without judgment. This is the doorway to freedom. Silence, too, is a teacher. In the absence of noise, the heart begins to speak, and gratitude transforms ordinary days into sacred experiences. Each morning, as you awaken, take a moment to acknowledge the beauty around you. Acknowledge your own presence. Even a simple thought, "I am here. I'm alive, I'm grateful," can shift your entire perception. Presence does not demand grand gestures. It asks only that you notice, that you feel, that you participate fully in the life that is already unfolding. Imagine walking through a garden. If your mind is distracted, you may miss the delicate fragrance of a flower, the soft hum of a bee, the warmth of sunlight on your skin. But if you are truly present, every step becomes a dance, every glance a discovery, every heartbeat a reminder of life's sacred rhythm. Each moment is a jewel, each day a gift. The beauty of living in the now is that it dissolves the fear of aging. When you are fully present, the past loses its grip and the future becomes a gentle horizon rather than a source of worry. You realize that life is not a race to a finish line, but a continuous unfolding of experiences, sensations, and connections. Every smile, every act of kindness, every shared moment of joy is a thread in the tapestry of existence, and as we age, we are offered the unique wisdom to recognize this truth more deeply. So let us pause and consider. If you could choose one daily ritual to keep you grounded in the present, what would it be? Perhaps it is a morning meditation, a walk in nature, a moment of silent reflection, or a few deep breaths taken with awareness. Whatever it is, make it sacred. Let it be your anchor, your gentle reminder that the gift of presence is always available no matter your age. Living in the now is not merely a practice, it is a celebration. Each day, each moment, each breath is an opportunity to awaken, to notice the extraordinary in the ordinary, to feel the richness of life that surrounds us, waiting for us to pay attention. Ram Dass's teachings remind us that the ultimate journey is not outward, but inward. The eternal now is here. It is waiting for us to arrive, to fully inhabit our lives, to embrace the depth and beauty of simply being. So as you move through your days, remember, every breath is a jewel, every morning is a gift, and every moment is an invitation. The gift of presence is not something we earn, it is something we claim. Claim it now, be here now. And in this presence, discover the endless wonder, peace, and joy that life has been offering all along. Aging is often seen as a countdown, a slow march toward an inevitable end. Society paints it as decline, a fading of relevance, a closing of doors. But what if everything we've been told about aging is just an illusion? What if, instead of the end, growing older is actually the beginning, the true beginning of a journey we've been preparing for all our lives? Today, I invite you to see aging not as a loss, but as a return home, returning home to the soul. In our youth, life often feels like a quest. We search for identity, for approval, for meaning outside of ourselves. We chase careers, accomplishments, relationships, and titles, thinking that these will define who we are. We get lost in the noise of the world, the endless to-do lists, and the pursuit of recognition. And yet somewhere deep inside, there is a whisper, a gentle voice reminding us that all of this is only preparation, only a prelude to a deeper understanding of who we truly are. As we step into our 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond, many of these distractions begin to fall away. Children grow up, careers settle, and the endless chase slows. Suddenly, there is space. Space to breathe, space to reflect, space to listen. This is when we begin to recognize that the search for identity in the outer world can transform into a journey inward. The persona that once defined us gives way to the essence of our being. And in that silence, in that stillness, we discover that we have always been home. Ram Dass taught, we are all just walking each other home. There is a profound beauty in this idea. Aging is not about isolation or loss. It is about connection, connection to ourselves, to others, and to the eternal now. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every moment of change is a signpost guiding us toward our true essence. Life begins to feel less like a series of achievements and more like a pilgrimage, a sacred journey of presence and awareness. In the past, we may have defined success by what we had or what we did, but as we age, the measure of life shifts. Success becomes less about external validation and more about inner peace. It becomes about recognizing the divine spark within ourselves and others. It becomes about the quiet joy of simply being, fully present, fully alive in this very moment. There is a freedom in embracing this stage of life. We no longer need to prove ourselves. We no longer need to compete. Instead, we can surrender to the flow of existence, trusting that everything unfolds exactly as it should. We can savor the beauty of a sunrise, the laughter of a friend, the gentle rhythm of our breath. We can cultivate gratitude for each passing day, knowing that life itself is the greatest gift. Aging is not the end. It is the ultimate beginning. It is the opportunity to return to the essence of who we are, to reconnect with our soul, to awaken to the love, wisdom, and compassion that has always resided within us. It is the moment when we can finally see life with clarity, when we can fully embrace ourselves, imperfections and all, and recognize the sacredness in every experience. So as you reflect on your own journey, I invite you to ask yourself, what new beginning are you ready to embrace today? Perhaps it is a new way of seeing yourself, a deeper connection with those around you, or a simple practice of presence that brings you back home to your soul. Perhaps it is the courage to let go of old patterns, the grace to forgive, or the willingness to love more fully. Whatever it is, know that this is your time. Your life is not winding down. It is unfolding into its richest, most meaningful chapter. Embrace your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, not as a final stretch, but as a sacred opportunity to awaken, to discover, to celebrate the essence of your being. You are not defined by age, by accomplishments, or by external markers. You are defined by your presence, your love, your awareness, and your journey back home. So, take a deep breath, look within, and step into this new beginning with curiosity, openness, and gratitude. The path is waiting, and every step you take is a step closer to home. Share this message with those who may need it. Comment to connect with others walking this path, and remember, the most beautiful discoveries of life often come after we learn to slow down, to listen, and to return home to our own soul. Aging is not the end. It is the true beginning. And today, this very moment, is your invitation to come home.